start the presentation. So the Center for Gender Diversity and Inclusion Statistics was established in the spring of 2018. The center identifies and addresses gaps in the availability of disaggregated data on sex, gender, and other intersecting identity characteristics to enrich our understanding of social, economic, and environmental issues in Canada. So our center has three main objectives. The first is reporting to Canadians about the state and progress of gender diversity and inclusion in Canada. Capacity to increase knowledge of gender diversity, inclusion, and gender-based analysis plus. So as the demand for gender-based analysis plus and disaggregated data increases, our mandate and objectives are also expanding. So the center now also supports and works with anyone to help them implement GBA plus into their work as well. So in the third objective, the center addresses building and enhancing statistical knowledge and literacy on GBA plus. So GBA Plus is a whole of government initiative led by Women in Gender Equality Canada, also known as WAGE. GBA Plus is an intersectional analytical process we undertake to identify who is impacted by an issue we are trying to address through our initiative. It also involves examining intersecting identity factors and considering social, economic, and cultural conditions and norms. GBA Plus looks at who is impacted by an issue, how they are impacted, how our initiatives could be tailored to meet their diverse needs, and how we can mitigate barriers to accessing our initiatives or benefiting from them. The Gender Diversity and Inclusion Statistics Hub, also known as the GDIS Hub, first launched in 2018 and was actually just recently updated on December 8th, 2021. Our hub provides users with easy access to disaggregated and intersectional data, analytical products, and insights. So with the previous updates to our hub, so we now provide products related to gender diversity and inclusion. We connect directly to other relevant data hubs and portals. We include and connect to our new sex, gender, and sexual orientation hub. And we now serve as the primary platform for Statistics Canada's Disaggregated Data Action Plan, also known as a DDAP. So the GDIS hub includes and connects to the new sex, gender, and sexual orientation hub. So this hub was developed to monitor and report on indicators included in the Gender Results Framework, also known as the GRF. This framework represents the Government of Canada's vision for gender equality in Canada. So this new sex, gender, and sexual orientation hub, which was also released on December 8th, includes data and analysis on gender, LGBTQ2+ communities, and will over time feature more functionality, such as the ability to filter by different population groups. So in Budget 2018, the Government of Canada introduced the Gender Results Framework, which identifies priority areas of action for advancing gender equality, guides decision-making on policies, programs, and other initiatives, and helps to monitor progress towards our goals. The GRF was developed by Women in Gender Equality Canada in collaboration with Finance Canada and Global Affairs Canada to serve as a framework for guiding the federal budget, decision-making, and analysis process. Such as the GRF also ensures coordinated action on gender equality by the federal government. The GRF represents the Government of Canada's goals and strategic objectives with respect to gender equality and how we will measure success under these 6 pillars. So the 6 pillars are education and skills development, economic participation and prosperity, leadership and democratic participation, gender-based violence and access to justice, poverty reduction, health, well-being, and gender equality around the world. Statistics Canada monitors and tracks all of these pillars except for gender equality around the world, which was given to Global Affairs Canada. So our hub also now serves as a primary platform for disseminating products and information related to Statistics Canada's Disaggregated Data Action Plan. So aggregated data refers to large-scale data summaries and reports. Disaggregated data are data that have been divided into categories such as region, gender, ethnicity, etc. Statistics Canada is implementing this action plan to guide our data efforts to better meet the needs of data users while remaining respectful and inclusive and continuing to guarantee privacy and confidentiality. So we will continue to update our hub as new data and resources become available. Furthermore, Statistics Canada will engage with diverse groups of data users to understand how their experiences ensure the hub is meeting their data needs, and to solicit their feedback on hub functionality and information availability. So now we're going to head over to the actual hub, and I'm going to give you the interactive tour. So I'm just going to minus out of the PowerPoint here. Perfect. So I hope everyone can see my screen. So before I bring you directly to our hub, I want to start the tour out at Statistics Canada's homepage. So when you Google Statistics Canada, this is the homepage that you will arrive to. So there's two ways to actually access our hub from the homepage. The first way is to scroll down all the way to the bottom of the page, where you can see the Gender Diversity and Inclusion Statistics Hub, and it's also identified by our logo. This is our logo here. So that's the first way to access our hub. The second way is at the top of the website. If you select the Subjects tab, it'll bring us to the Subject section. And then at the bottom on the right, you'll see Gender Diversity and Inclusion Statistics. So if we click that, it's going to bring us to the hub. So this is our hub's homepage. So I'm going to start out with a brief overview with what's located on our hub's homepage. And then I'm going to use this section here, the Find Data On section, to show you how to actually access gender diversity and inclusion data. So as I mentioned previously, the GDIS hub was updated on December 8th, 2021, and there were three main changes as a result of this update. So firstly, the Find Data On section was updated to allow for users to easily connect directly from our hub to other relevant data hubs and portals, where information and data can be found on these topics listed. So these 8 statistical portals and hubs you see here all fall under the Gender Diversity and Inclusion umbrella. So the 8 of them are accessibility statistics, dimensions of poverty, immigration and ethnocultural diversity, language, older age and adults, population aging, rural Canada statistics, the new sex, gender, and sexual orientation hub, and then statistics on Indigenous peoples. We'll come back to this section shortly, as we'll use this mostly for the tour to be able to find data. So the second main update to our hub was it now includes and connects to the new sex, gender, and sexual orientation hub. So we're also going to come back to this hub here because I'm going to show you the gender results framework and how you can actually access the data tables. And the third main update was our hub now serves as a primary platform for disseminating products and related to DDAP. So DDAP is still in its preliminary stages, but this section will serve as a location to inform Canadians about DDAP, including what it is, how it's affecting our work, how DDAP benefits Canadians, and also report back to Canadians on the progress of DDAP. So the hub as a whole, including the Find Data On section and the sections that I'm about to show you, will house products and information relating to DDAP, detailing statistical highlights and experiences of specific population groups. So located below the Disaggregated Data Action Plan tile, we have the Focus on COVID-19 section. So the center's first objective is reporting to Canadians, and this section contains resources that reports the pandemic's impact on diverse population groups. So when you click a specific population group, you will see all of the products and releases related to COVID-19 for the group you selected. For example, if we select persons with a disability, we see all the COVID-19 products released that have been disaggregated by disability. If we select impact of COVID-19 on the pandemic on Canadian families of children with disabilities, which should be here, it'll bring us directly to the article. And at the top of the article, there's a short description which says this article provides disaggregated data to better understand the impact of COVID-19 on specific groups. And we can also see the logo for our center here as well. This is just one example of the articles that can be found in the COVID-19 section. If you are someone who is interested in how the pandemic has affected different people, I encourage you to take some time to go through this section, as there is lots of great information here related to COVID-19 and its impact on diverse population groups. So as we slowly start to come out of the pandemic, this section here isn't frequently as updated as it used to be, but it's still being updated with important information. So another example is if we select seniors here, we can see impact of COVID-19 on Canadians for testing and vaccination. So let's see here. And we can see this was released last month, so March 7th. And this article provides what talks about how testing and vaccination have affected different age groups, including seniors. So again, great information here relating to COVID-19. And as you can see, there is a lot of articles and releases pertaining to each population group. So the bottom left of the Focus COVID-19 tile, we have the features section. So this section contains links to 6 recent products related to gender and diversity on a rotating carousel. This section here is used almost like a highlight reel of the great products that are produced by our authors at Statistics Canada. So we do have a release here on Asian Heritage Month. We also have a great release here on gender diversity in Canada, which was actually released using data from the 2021 census. So this is another great article that we have produced. So below the features section here, we have our resources area with 3 main additional resources. So the first section here is very important to Statistics Canada, and it's our tested and trusted statistical standards. So these standards make it possible for us to have reliable information on gender diversity and inclusion within Canada. Statistical standards are a set of rules used to standardize the questions that are asked across surveys during collections. Standards ensure we collect information about a given characteristic and communicate it in the same way every single time. So all of our surveys which ask questions on visible minority status, for example, ask the same questions in the exact same way with the same response categories, definitions, and help text. And at Statistics Canada, we are fully aware of Canada's ever-changing diverse population and the need to provide data for all Canadians. So in doing so, we also create new standards and revise current ones. So for example, on November 2nd, 2021, Statistics Canada revised the variables for gender of a person and sex at birth of a person for the 2021 census of population. So this section here, we have a list of standards used to measure Canada's diverse population groups. And the second resource we have here is Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals, also known as the SDGs, are a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and improve the lives and prospects of everyone, everywhere. And lastly, we have a resource here for Gender-Based Analysis Plus. So this here houses resources and training material on GBA+, most of which are produced by the Department of Women and Gender Equality, WAGE. WAGE also offers an excellent course for an introduction into GBA+. It's free, it's only around an hour and a half, and I highly recommend it to everyone. It's a great course to learn more about GBA+ in action and how to actually put it into practice. So that's just a brief layout of what's on our hub's actual homepage. So one of the most frequently asked questions we get is, how do I find data? And furthermore, how do I find and access data on specific population groups? So using our hub as the focal point, I'm going to show you how to access our data using this Find Data On tile. So as I had mentioned previously, this section connects directly from our hub to other relevant data hubs and portals where you can find data on these topics listed. So for example, if we select immigration and ethnocultural diversity statistics, we'll be brought to their homepage. And from here, if we stay in the Find Data On section, we can see the subjects related to immigration, ethnocultural, and diversity. So from here, we can select any topic. So if we select visible minorities, for example, we will be brought to a search page. At the top of the search page, you can see visible minorities. and all of the products data analysis have been disaggregated or include visible minority status. At the top right, we have a sort by section here, where we can sort by date, which shows results by release date, starting with the most recent. We can search by relevance. Results are ordered by a combination of things like how popular the product is and a few other factors. And then we can sort by title, which just sorts the results alphabetically. And beside that, we can also select how many entries we want on the page at a time. So let's filter by date here. And now we have a few options here. So now we can select data, analysis, reference, or we can select all, which shows all the products together. So if we select data, it will show us all of our data tables for the topic listed, which of course have been disaggregated or includes visible minority status. If we select analysis, it'll show us all the articles and reports, which include visible minority status. And lastly, reference, which will show us the surveys and statistical programs. So on the left-hand side of the search bar, we can filter our search further by data type, geography, and by survey or statistical program here. So I want to show you a few examples of the kind of products that we actually have here. So let's say we want to look up a report or analysis based on a specific keyword. So in the search bar here, let's type in education and select search. And then let's select analysis, and then let's select relevance. So then we can take a look at our results here. So if we select Canada's Black population here, education, labor, and resilience, we will be brought to that report. So we take a look at the top of the report as well. We can see our logo here for the Center of Gender Diversity and Inclusion Statistics. So we know that this product was produced by our center. And this report shows socioeconomic characteristics of the Black population in Canada, bringing to light some of the challenges that this population faces, particularly in terms of employment and income. And if we scroll down, we can see we have so much great information here. And this is just one example of how to access a report using the Find Data On section. So now I want to show you an example of how to use and navigate our data tables. So if we head back to the Hub's homepage here, using, again, the Find Data On section as the focal point, let's say we want to find data on Indigenous peoples. So if we select statistics on Indigenous peoples, we're going to be brought to their hub. And we're going to stay in the Find Data On section here. And let's say we want to find information on employment of the Indigenous population within Canada. So in the Find Data On section, we have all these subjects to select from. But because we want to find information on employment, let's select labor and employment. We're going to be brought to another search page, which is exactly the same setup as the previous search page, where it's going to include all the products on labor and employment that have been disaggregated by Indigenous group or Indigenous identity. I just want to say a quick note, Statistics Canada now uses the term Indigenous instead of Aboriginal, but both terms refer to individuals identifying as First Nations, Métis, or Inuit. So now we want to search again for the keyword for what we want to find. So in the search bar, let's put in the word employment. And we can filter our search by date to get the most recent up-to-date products. So if we look at the top two results, we can see employment by Indigenous group and occupation, and then we have labor force characteristics by Indigenous group and educational attainment. So if we look in this box here, we can see we have a table number. So you can also use this table number here to search up specifically the table in our StatsCan website. So if we copy and paste, that there, you'll see it'll also bring us directly to that data table as well in the main search bar of Statistics Canada. So it's good to know that if you are working with a table, and instead of going through all of the steps to find it, you can just save the number and you can put it in the main search bar and it'll bring you directly to the table. Head back to our search page here. So we can also see that the frequency of when it is released. So we know that is released annually. The geography, so it's released Canada-wide, and then a quick description of what the table actually includes. So if we select employment by Indigenous group and occupation, we're going to be brought to the data table. So if we take a look at the data table here, we can see that we can also customize it by sex, reference period, and age group. So let's say we want to find employment information for both sexes from 2018 for 25 years and older. Let's go 25 years and older. We want to start from 2018 to 2021. So if we select apply, it's going to show us results on the data table here. So we can see Indigenous population, occupation classification. We can see the year 2018 to 2021, and then we can see the age here as well, so 25 years and older. And it also compares it to the non-Indigenous population. So let's say we're working with this data table and we want to download or export this data for us to reference later or to use later. So on the actual page here, if we go to download options, it actually gives us a bunch of options to export the data. So we can download as displayed, and we can also download the entire table as well. Another thing I want to show you here is the source of this information. So where does the source of this data come from? So if we scroll down to the bottom of the page, we're going to see under related information, we're going to see source. And if we select that, we know that it comes from the labor force survey. So now we know where the actual data is coming from. So I want to head back to the Indigenous Statistics Hub's homepage, and I want to show you how to access another article or report from the homepage as well. So let's go back here. So back to our hub. We want to find more information on Indigenous peoples. And now we want to find an article report on a certain subject. So let's say we are interested in health and well-being. So if we select health and well-being, and then we select date here, and let's say we select analysis, we can look at our results again. So we have Indigenous youth in Canada, mortality among First Nations people, etc. So let's select this article here, Indigenous youth in Canada. And we know that this article report includes health and well-being. So if we scroll down, we'll be able to see that in this article, we can find mental and physical health. So we know that this article has been disaggregated by health and well-being, also by Indigenous populations as well. And another example of kind of the great articles and reports that you can find using our hub as a focal point. So I'm going to show you our new hub, which is the sex, gender, and sexual orientation statistics. And I want to show you the find data on section here as well, but I also want to show you the gender results framework first. So here is where the gender results framework data tables are now housed. So previously they were housed on our hub's page, but we created a separate hub to house them here. So we have all of them here. So we have education and skills development, economic participation and prosperity, leadership and democratic participation, gender-based violence and access to justice, poverty reduction, health and well-being. And then we also have other Statistical Canada gender indicators, and these are produced by Statistics Canada. So if we take a look under, well, I just want to say actually as well, so Statistics Canada tracks the progress on the gender results framework indicators. So every time a survey releases new data pertaining to these 5 indicators, then the tables that you will see here are then updated. So if we take a look under leadership and democratic participation here, and if we take a look under the first objective, which is more women in senior management positions and more diversity in senior leadership positions, we can see the indicator here. And then we can actually see the data source table here, which we can click on again. And it's going to bring us to the same setup of a data table that I showed you previously. All the data is down here. And again, you can customize the data up here. There's only one customization. You can only do it by year. So when you get to a data table, you can see under the customized data table what factors or variables you can customize. So for this one here, we can customize by year. And again, let's say we're working with this data, we want to export it, we have the download options available here. Back here. And this can be done for all of the indicators that you see in the gender results framework. So now I want to show you the type of products that can be found on our new hub. So if we head to the Find Data On section, and let's select Health again, we're going to be brought to another search page. And this time, let's say we want to filter by date and analysis. We get the most recent products. And here again, we can see all of our releases. So let's go select here, statistical portrait of women and girls by relative remoteness for their communities. And again, it's going to bring us to another release. And again, we can see the logo for our center up at the top right corner. So we know this was produced by the Center for Gender Diversity and Inclusion Statistics. And this is another great example of the products that we have to offer. So this report highlights that women and girls living in more remote areas fell behind on their counterparts living in more accessible areas in several health outcomes. So that is an overview of our new Sex, Gender, and Sexual Orientation Hub. I also want to just go over another feature that you can access from our hub as well. So at the top, underneath our social media tile here, we have sign up to MyStatCan. So MyStatCan is a customizable one-stop portal that allows you to bookmark and quickly access your favorite articles, reports, data tables, indicators, and more. You can actually receive notifications on our latest data releases and participate in online discussions and even chat with experts. So if you're interested in a certain subject and would like to receive email notifications every time that there is a release about that subject, our subscription service is a great tool to keep informed and up to date. Because Stats Canada does have a lot of releases, it's easy sign up for this and you can actually just receive the releases for the subjects you select. I'll show you quickly how to do that. So I already have an account, but when you click on it, it's just going to get you to put in your email and select the password. And then as soon as you're in your account here, if you go under email notifications, you can actually choose subjects on what you want to be notified when there is a release pertaining to these subjects here. So it's another great tool to have, especially if you're working with a specific subject. You can receive emails every time it's released. So that actually concludes the tour of our hub. And I just want to say that at Statistics Canada, we're always looking for new ways to improve and access data and create a more user-friendly environment. We have so much important data and so many great products that we are always looking for the best way to present it to our data users. So I'm just going to head back to the PowerPoint here now. Perfect. And before we get to the question and answer, I just want to, so here's our contact information. So the first email is for the Center for Gender Diversity and Inclusion Statistics. So if after the presentation, if you have any inquiry, diversity and social cultural statistics. So they're the client services. So let's say you're on our website and you are having a hard time finding certain data, or you want to request certain data tables. If you send them an email, they'll be able to help you out with that. And also there's a resources slide here. So the first two are the links to the hubs. The second is the link to the MyStatCan service. And the fourth is a video on how to use data tables. So for my presentation, it was a very brief overview of how to use the data tables, how to manipulate them. That video is about 5 minutes long. It goes a little bit more in depth on how to actually manipulate data tables. It tells you what you want to look for, how to export it, how to save it, and it's all kind of condensed in a 5-minute video. So I recommend that video as well for everyone who wants to know a little bit more about that. And then we also have a link to our social media. Our social media team is great at Statistics Canada. We are all on all social media platforms. So that link is just to all of our social media accounts as well. So I'll go back to here, and I guess I will open up the floor for any questions. If anybody has any questions. I will turn my camera on as well so you can see me.
Thanks so much for the presentation, Aaron. I see there's already a couple questions in the chat, so I can read them out to you.